one of the first social enterprises in the world, set up in 1982, whose job primarily is to try and find ways to eradicate poverty in our country and to bring back nature's productivity. So a lot of the work we do is in innovation. We develop new technologies, new ideas, new institutional frameworks, new types of policies that we can recommend to government. We also do a lot of work in the field. We work on the ground. We've made it possible for about 250,000, 2 lakhs of women to be able to learn to read and write and do arithmetic, for example. We've empowered a lot of people to be able to take advantage of their entitlements with government. We've probably created several lakhs of jobs in various industries, mainly in the countryside. So our work extends from sort of policy level research all the way down to ground level action. Yes, certainly where we work there's a lot of change happening. People understand a lot of things in very remote places like Bundelkhand, one of the poorest parts of India, in central India. People have understood what is happening with the climate and why it's important to adapt to it, because it's going to happen, and how their agriculture and their living practices and the kinds of livelihoods they have are going to be affected, and how they can work around that and not be completely marginalized. We do see a much greater awareness about how to live in harmony with nature, with your limited resources, and not to destroy the soils or the trees. So a lot of this is happening, but we have a long way to go. I mean, this is a big country and the world's a big place, and there are 3, maybe 4 billion people in this planet who are living very, very close to the margin. So I don't know how long that will take, but I think in the places where we've worked, we've had a lot of impact. And now our job is to see how to make mechanisms, business mechanisms, which will multiply on a large scale and rapidly. So at the moment, I'm setting up a company which will make this into a good business, which we hope everybody will copy and make lots of profits, but at the same time have a good impact. No, I think we're in very serious trouble. If you mean by sustainability, will people in your generation or your children have a good place to live in? No, it's going to be terrible unless we change rapidly. I think before you retire, you're going to find very difficult times. I worry about my son and other people of your age having to fight in the street for food, for water, for even just basic amenities. I don't think we're heading in the right direction, because our population keeps growing, a little slower, but it's still growing. The number of poor people is still growing, although economists love to say the percentage is coming down, but that doesn't mean much because the total population is growing. Our soils are disappearing at an incredible rate, and without soil you can't grow food. Our forests are more or less static, but they're deteriorating in quality. Where we had virgin original forests, we now have plantations. Our rivers have more or less dried up. Some of the mightiest rivers of the world, you can now walk across in the summer months, in the dry season. We're not going in the right direction, and the main problems are 2. One, that we haven't paid attention to the needs of the poor, and they continue to have large families, for one thing, but apart from that, they are entitled to have a better life, and we haven't taken care of the productivity of the land. We are losing our natural resources on which we depend at an incredible rate. So no, I'm very deeply worried. I don't think it is sustainable. Yeah, you asked me a question whether our present strategies were leading to a sustainable future. And I said no. But that doesn't mean we can't change. I'm not as pessimistic as I must have sounded about the future, because I think we can change. And our organization is about bringing about that change. Change in attitudes, change in the kinds of technologies we use, the change in our relationship with nature and with wastes and so on. Huge, deep cultural changes that we need to do, and behavioral changes that we need to do. So I believe that with young people like yourself, there is a very good possibility that we can bring about that change quite quickly. But if we don't, then we've got a real problem. If we do, this could be the greatest country in the world. Well, you know, in an unequal world, whether it's within countries or between countries, the rich and the powerful always get a better of the deal. I think the poor countries like India have to get into position, and China is sort of doing that, to be able to bargain on their own, in their own interest, and on the strength of their own knowledge and assets, etc. So I think the long term means that this planet as a whole, not just India, will be sustainable if all the countries are sustainable. Many countries will have disappeared because of sea level rise and a lot of other things. And there's not much we can do right now because many of those actions have already taken place. But where we can prevent further damage, I think all the nations of the world have to get together and realize that your end of the lifeboat can't be sinking without mine sinking too. So that's the next message that your media and your organizations have to be able to do. You know, China has made a major investment and is getting the benefits, and we should do the same. The lesson's very simple, that we should not be wasting our time messing around with all these coal-powered fire stations and so on. We should be getting on with the job of getting to where we have to go anyway, quickly. And I think the government has realized that. Much of it's sort of happening. But I would say that the main issue is not to copycat China, but is to figure out our own way to use better resources and use them more wisely. I don't think China has done a very good job in using resources at all. I mean, its environmental problems are huge. It's got bigger problems with its soil quality and soil destruction than even we do, and we have bad enough ones. So I wouldn't want to copy China, but I think the one thing one can learn from China is that good, solid decision making and implementing decisions can pay off.